If you care about real history, real materials, and real lessons that still matter today, then you already know this channel exists for people who go deeper than surface-level documentaries. Before we go any further, make sure you subscribe to the Global War Archive channel and share this video with anyone who still thinks modern steel is automatically superior. What you're about to hear challenges a century of industrial assumptions, and it matters whether you're a historian, a survivalist, or someone who simply wants metal tools that don't fail when you need them most. Why medieval iron outlasted modern steel isn't a mystery lost to time. It's a story of material science, environment, and human patience. Medieval iron didn't magically resist rust. It was made, treated, and used in ways that modern mass production abandoned in favor of speed and cost. Once you understand that, the gap between a 1,000-year-old sword and a 2-year-old shovel starts to make uncomfortable sense. Medieval iron began its life in bloomery furnaces, not blast furnaces. These low-temperature furnaces never fully melted the iron. Instead, they produced a spongy mass called a bloom, filled with slag and impurities that had to be hammered out by hand. This process mattered. The repeated heating and hammering physically aligned the iron's internal grain structure and trapped microscopic slag fibers throughout the metal. Those slag inclusions acted as natural corrosion barriers, slowing the spread of rust instead of allowing it to race freely across the surface like it does in modern homogeneous steel. This is why surviving medieval weapons, church grills, and farm tools often show surface corrosion without structural collapse. The rust progresses slowly, unevenly, and predictably. In contrast, modern steel is chemically pure, uniform, and efficient, which also makes it uniformly vulnerable. Once corrosion begins, there are no internal barriers to slow it down. The carbon content of medieval iron also worked in its favor. Medieval smiths did not aim for perfectly consistent steel. Some areas of a blade or tool had higher carbon, others lower. This accidental pattern welding created zones with different corrosion rates. When moisture attacked the surface, it encountered resistance at each transition. Modern steel, by design, removes this variability. From a factory perspective, that's ideal. From a longevity perspective, it's disastrous. Medieval iron also benefited from how it was finished and maintained. Tools and weapons were constantly oiled, waxed, smoked, or simply handled. Human hands deposit oils that inhibit oxidation. Medieval arsenals stored weapons in dry stone rooms, hung off the ground, often packed with straw or cloth treated with animal fats. Armor was wiped down after use because a knight who neglected his gear didn't just lose money, he lost his life. Rust prevention wasn't optional maintenance, it was survival discipline. Modern users treat tools as disposable. When a shovel rusts, it gets replaced. When a medieval plowshare rusted, it was cleaned, reheated, reforged, and returned to work. That cycle of care hardened both the metal and the mindset around it. Environment played a role as well. Medieval iron artifacts that survived did so largely because they were kept indoors, buried in stable soil or submerged in low-oxygen environments. The famous iron pillars of India are often mentioned, but even in Europe, iron stored in castles, monasteries, and armories avoided the constant salt exposure and chemical pollution modern metal faces daily. Acid rain, road salt, and industrial contaminants accelerate corrosion far beyond anything medieval iron encountered. You can apply these lessons today without living like it's the 14th century. Start by choosing simpler steels with lower alloy content when possible. High carbon, low alloy steels rust slower and more predictably than modern ultra-pure mild steel. After use, clean tools immediately and dry them completely. Apply natural oils, beeswax or linseed oil. instead of synthetic coatings that crack and trap moisture. Store tools off concrete floors, which wick moisture upward, and avoid sealed plastic containers that create condensation. If you're serious, you can even replicate medieval surface treatments. Heat a tool slightly and rub it with oil so it polymerizes into the surface. This creates a protective layer remarkably similar to what medieval smiths achieved accidentally through repeated use and fire exposure. For outdoor ironwork, allowing a controlled layer of surface oxidation, then sealing it, produces a stable patina rather than destructive rust. The uncomfortable truth is that medieval iron lasted because people expected it to last. Now, the modern economy expects replacement, not preservation. Medieval smiths worked within limits, and those limits forced them to understand their material intimately. Modern industry removed those limits, and in doing so, removed durability as a priority. Understanding why medieval iron endured isn't about nostalgia. It's about reclaiming knowledge that still works, whether you're restoring historical artifacts, preparing for long-term self-reliance, or simply tired of tools that fail early. The medieval approach offers real solutions grounded in physics, chemistry, and discipline. If this kind of deep, no-nonsense historical analysis matters to you, subscribe to Global War Archive, share this video with fellow historians and survivalists, and keep these lessons alive. History doesn't just tell us where we came from, it shows us what we forgot and sometimes what we need most.